Continuing our recent trend of working our way through classic Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki films.
We've been on a Miyazaki kick.
I don't know how this started, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
You and I watched Laputa, Laputa.
Yes.
Laputa.
Laputa.
Castle in the Sky, better known as Castle in the Sky.
Castle in the Sky. Yeah. We kind of decided to watch an older Miyazaki film from the 80s as kind of a palate cleanser from Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, I think this is
which we needed.
Number 3 for Miyazaki from Ghibli.
Isn't this like the first actual like Ghibli film? Oh no, that was Nausicaa.
Nausicaa is, I think, the first official Miyazaki film.
Okay, but this is the first Ghibli.
No, I think there's a Ghibli logo in front of Nausicaa.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really know what the chronology is.
Oh, okay. It's from 1986, so it's a mid-80s film. Nausicaa. Basically, the premise is that there was a girl by the name of Shita who was being pursued by this government agent and his goons because she has this special stone crystal thing that has magical properties, which would allow them to find this fabled castle in the sky city known as Laputa. And she meets a young boy called Pazu. And they also then, on their journey to try to find this city, are also being pursued by a bunch of sky pirates who want to get the crystal because they're pirates and stuff like that. And they have an adventurer's journey to find the secrets of the crystal and also be able to get to the city that's floating in the sky because it has these special magical powers, which I believe it's like a super weapon of some sort.
It's like technologically advanced.
Yeah, it's like a techno nature, techno eco type of thing and stuff like that. So that's kind of the thing. It's sort of like an adventurous journey type of movie.
It's funny watching this and how much better it is than Howl's Moving Castle.
Made 20 years later, practically.
And just like instantly better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where it's just like in the first 15 minutes, I was just like, I'm having so much fun.
Yeah. This is what you kind of want in a Miyazaki film.
Yeah. It feels so effortless with the intrigue of what's happening, because the intro is like them raiding the airbase thing, the ship, and she just falls, and then we're into credits. That's kind of the history of the castle in the sky.
It's like a cold opening type of thing.
And then when Panzu shows up and how his world is, and you get just enough of what his life is like before she arrives, and it's just so like perfectly grabs you into this world and makes you want to know what happens next. And all of the characters are wonderful. All of them are just really fun to be around, including the villains. You know,
yeah, where the villains actually have like a real motivation as opposed to just being like, I'm a villain and I do villainous stuff.
Right.
And that stuff is in the background without any...
Well, and they also are clearly... By the end of the film, all of their motivations are clearly defined. Whereas, like, Howl's Moving Castle was so vague.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah, towards the end, you're still like, why is everything happening? And, everything is now resolved because people said, we're just gonna stop the war.
Yeah.
Because... we've got about 5 more minutes in our time.
We got to wrap
and the
everything
credits have
up
to roll.
Now. This is so much better paced, and it is. It's like Nausicaa of it's a complete film with a real arc and like masterful storytelling. There are parts of it that I don't love as much as some other Ghibli films, like Nausicaa's obviously kind of, I think, probably my favorite. But even like looking at My Neighbor Totoro or Princess Mononoke, like there are parts of those films that I definitely enjoy more. But watching this film again, I saw it for the first time in like 2018 at in a theater, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then seeing it now after watching Howl's Moving Castle, I was like, "This is great! This is so much fun."
It's also interesting, because I already, like when I was watching it, I was just like, yeah, this is an actual like story. There's like a motivation for everybody to do something. There's this adventure that we're going to go on. All these characters are kind of coming along to tell the story and this journey to get to Laputa, where it felt like an actual, like you were saying, it's an actual story with just better pacing, better storyboarding, compared to like Howl's Moving Castle and stuff, which is so weird because this is an earlier film that he did, where by the time you kind of got to like when he made Howl's, because Howl's is after Spirited Away, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Like you would think that by that point, like a lot of the things that as a filmmaker Miyazaki would have kind of had hammered out by that point, and it just kind of felt like he was sort of aimless, like almost like after like Spirited Away, he just kind of like lost steam at that point. And I haven't really seen, other than Howl's Moving Castle, I haven't seen any of his post Spirited Away films. So nothing really more so into
you've
the
never
2000s.
seen The Wind Rises?
Never seen that. I've never seen Ponyo.
You should probably check out
Is that one actually good compared to Howl?
It's very, very different.
Okay.
And as a history guy, I think that you might appreciate.
I know it takes place in World War II, and it has to do with like the guy who like designed the Zero Fighter.
Exactly. So it's a much different.
Ano doing the voice and stuff.
Yeah, it's a much different style of Miyazaki's filmmaking.
But I feel like that type of, I don't know, I guess Howl might have just been a one-off, where like maybe that time period he just had like no creative juices going or anything like that at that point.
It was like he forced it out.
Yeah, because this was after
Spirited Away?
No. What did Goro make at that point?
No, this is Howl's Moving Castle was before Tales from Earthsea.
Okay, that was before Tales from Earthsea.
And that's why I was saying last time, I feel like Miyazaki knew he made a bad movie, which made him grumpier about Goro doing a lackluster film that was somehow still better than Howl's Moving Castle. Because Howl's Moving Castle is kind of just a bad movie, which is unfortunate, and it's a blight. I looked it up, and Ebert was very lukewarm.
Critical.
Yeah, he was like, it doesn't have the magic of Totoro or the adventure of Princess Mononoke, or you know what I mean? Like
I would be. And we talk about, like I've mentioned before, where there was like, for like Disney films where a lot of people kind of give like an additional like rating boost just because it's part of that Disney namesake, and they probably do the same with Miyazaki films. It would be interesting to show Howl's Moving Castle to somebody who is a Miyazaki fan but has never seen the movie and possibly doesn't even know that it exists and it's made by Miyazaki, and see what the reaction would be to that.
Right. Just say it's a Ghibli film, but not made by Miyazaki. That would be the because it's funny, because even there's there's the
which Miyazaki though, Goro or Hayao?
There's the pirate leader in this film. Mm-hmm. I don't remember her name.
Dola.
Thank you.
Dola.
So, and she's an older woman. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't have the same exaggerated features.
No, she doesn't look like an old hag.
That
she just looks like an elderly lady.
Which is in Howl's Moving Castle and Spirited Away. there is a much more exaggerated character design that Miyazaki latched onto for some reason. But I'm looking at these films, and so Castle in the Sky was number 2 after Nausicaä.
Totoro barely beats it out too.
Well, people. I mean, this is people. People like. I'm surprised that Porco Rosso is lower because I thought people were a bigger fan of that. Then you get into Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away. What do we have for Howl's Moving Castles in 8.2? I think that's insane.
Ponyo 7.6. Wind Rises 7.6. Jeez.
So I'm curious. So his newest film is The Boy and the Heron. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see what that is. It's probably going to be his last film because he's 82 years old.
And chain smoking like a mother.
Well, if you're 82, I would chain smoke too.
That's true. George Burns. Yeah.
I would just be like, I'm just going to have fun. I don't care. But yeah, I don't know. So what did you think of Castle in the Sky?
It was a fun adventure movie with 2 young protagonists as to kind of carry the story. And I think he does a lot better with having like that youthful type of like young protags in there and his like adventure stories, because Nausicaä is like, was she like a teenager, like barely a teenager when she goes there?
I'd say she's like maybe 18, 19.
Oh, 18, 19.
For Nausicaä. She's older. She's older?
Okay. Because for some reason, like, I felt like the main character, was it Sophie in Howl's Moving Castle? I feel like for some reason she was like in her 20s or something, it felt like. And I felt like her trying to do this adventure was kind of like, she was a little too old at that point, because he's always had this like more of a younger, youthful type of main characters and stuff like that for the majority of his films and stuff. And this just, that one, if they were trying, I mean, it's not really an adventure movie, but this one was like, there was an actual like, I just think it just in general, overall, it was just better than Howl's. I know we're comparing it against Howl, but when people kind of put Howl's Moving Castle on such a high pedestal, and then we put our 2 cents to it, and we think that pedestal's a little too high in our opinion, and we watch something that's, came out 20 years prior, and it's superior to it in our opinion.
It just seemed like so much more of a sincere adventure than
it was fully fleshed out too. It wasn't like Howl felt like it was a bunch of ideas that were just kind of put together over a lunchtime meeting, and they're like, let's just crank out a movie because we need to make one.
Howl's is a mishmash of ideas, whereas this was a much more cohesive, singular story. But like just all of it, the characters are well balanced. Like there's a scene in this film where I was watching it thinking, if this movie was made today, how would I react to this? And I decided, well, no, it's fine. And the scene is, what's the girl's name?
Sheeta
is in the like, they're in the thing that, not the cockpit, but the adjacent flyer that can come out of the pirate ship.
Okay, yeah.
So the two of them are in that little, like, it's a flyer that can pop out thing. And the pirate Mama-san says Dola says, Sheeta, you need to come back. And she's like, no. Why? And Dola's like, you're a girl. And Sheeta's like, well, you're a girl too. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess you can stay. And on paper, cynically, that seems like, oh, we have to have the strong girl go, like, just be, but it works in this. And the question is, why does it work? and I have an idea of why it works.
Is it because like I would try? I mean, I would say it's because Dola was saying that like you're not old enough to be trying to do this. You're like still a child.
No, it's just more of that. It's just more that it's more sincere. It's not. It's organic to the story. It's organic that Dola is like you can see when they go into her
cabin.
Her cabin. There's a painting
she has the
of
old picture of her as a kid.
Yeah, and it's like it is. It's more about, and they look similar. Yeah,
yeah.
And so it's more just like it's earned because the characters earn it, the story earns it, their behavior earns it. It's more organic to the behavior of the characters in the story, and it's not. It doesn't feel like some writer being like, ooh, and then I'm going to make a strong female character and she's going to do this and this and this.
Because I wish I was, and I'm not, but I'm going to make myself one.
And also, perhaps more importantly, they can do a strong female characters without humiliating the male characters. And that's a big difference with contemporary writing, I feel. Which is that a lot of people feel like in order to make sure that people know our female character is strong, we need to embarrass the male characters and have her be like, oh, I'm going to embarrass and humiliate you so the audience knows that I'm a strong woman.
You got to make Roman look really, really strong, guys. You got to make Roman look really strong. That was a wrestling thing.
Okay.
Am I
talking about Grand Theft Auto?
No. It's like a professional wrestling thing where it's like whenever you're trying to put over this wrestler who's supposed to come up as like the big, bad, strong guy, you're supposed to put him against talent enhancement or also a guy called a jobber who's supposed to just get basically pancaked and steamrolled by the other guy.
You could have just said Worf. Worfed. You got Worfed.
Although Worf got Worfed himself a couple of times. Because remember there was that one episode where there was that girl who can turn into like another creature and she has that guardian who also turns into like... Yeah, and then Worf just gets flung against like a side table like in the wall.
No, that's my point, is that Worf is always used to prove that the other alien is really strong.
Yeah.
Because Worf is really strong. So Worf always has to get beaten to show that the other character is strong. But my point is that like so Sheeta can be strong without making Panzu look weak. And Dola can be a strong leader without the villainous men being incompetent, you know? So it was just one of those things where I was watching it thinking like, oh, okay. It's just like organic to the story, and it seems story driven, not agenda driven. And that's the difference with how it's interpreted by the audience, in my opinion. Anyhow, Alex, Castle in the Sky, how many pots of gold?
I will give Castle in the Sky 3 pots of gold.
I agree with you completely.
Nice. I'm kind of enjoying these older Miyazaki films.
So 3 pots of gold for Castle in the Sky from Alex. I agree. I'll say 3 pots of gold, but I am tempted to say 3.5.
Yeah. 3.25.
3. Well, yeah, I'll go 3.25. I had a really good time watching it again. It was much better than I remembered it being, and I partially because when I saw it in the theater it was dubbed, and this one was subtitled. So this time it was subtitled, and I was very.
I'm surprised I was sure the dub.
I think it was because when Disney acquired it, they did a print, and it was James Van Der Beek as Panzu.
Okay, is that the one? I think I read like Mark Hamill did the voice for like the government guy.
He might have, yeah.
I think, yeah. There was it's always interesting who they end up picking to do the voice acting for the people. Spirited Away. Who is the Spirited Away? Who did the voices for that shit? Davy Chase.
Not Ponzu. Pazu, sorry.
Pazu.
I've been saying it wrong. Is Ponzu a sauce?
Yes, it's
okay.
Some sort of fruit or something, maybe.
Ponzu sauce. Yeah. Citrus-based tart. Sorry. I feel like an idiot now that I've been saying Ponzu this whole time. Pazu. Yeah, so James Vanderbeek. Anna Paquin was Sheeta.
Wow.
Mark Hamill was Mushka. And that's about everyone that I recognize.
Wow, I just looked this up. Michael Keaton does the voice dubbing for Porco Rosso.
It was before DC wanted to see him again. All right. 3 pots of gold, 3.25 pots of gold. Very good film. Check it out if you haven't seen it, especially since if you run to the theater later this month, you'll be able to see The Boy and the Heron, likely the last Hayao Miyazaki film, one of the best directors of the last 50 years. I'd place him alongside,
Walt Disney.
Well,
I mean, I know there's always the way that he's called the Disney of Japan.
I put Miyazaki alongside like Kubrick.
Okay.
I would say that in his world, and in the quality of films that he was doing, and the way that he approached cinema, I think he's cinema will be worse off when he's gone. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. On par with Oshii, or Oshii beats him? Because we made that statement once before, like the Virgin Miyazaki and the Chad Oshii.
Yeah, well, there's also that hilarious thing where Oshii's making fun of him using little girls in his anime. I will say there's a moment in this film where there's like 20 to 30-year-old men pining over a 13-year-old Sheeta while she's cooking. And it's funny looking at people talking about it today because it's very cynical and very like, this is very problematic and I'm offended by this. And when I was watching it, the first time I watched it, I didn't consider it at all. That was in 2017, 2018. Watching it today, it crossed my mind, which made me look up what people were saying about it. And it seemed very cynical because in the film itself, the only actual romantic interaction is between Pazu and Sheeta. They're the ones who, get tied together, and they're like especially it's very cute when they're in the glider thing. They put the cloak on each other, and it's very adolescent.
Boy meets girl, youthful
adolescent
thing.
Romance.
Thing.
All the stuff with the guys, the pirates trying to like talk to her and bringing flowers and asking to help, I think really was played for laughs and played to be silly, not played to actually be like these men want to fuck this little girl.
A bunch of lecherous old guys. I mean, granted, they're like sky pirates, but I mean, they have their
it's
code.
They're trying to be. It's played more innocently than it seems in 2023.
Yeah,
is how I feel.
Yeah,
it's not as lecherous as it's viewed through the lens of 2023. When you've got like Harvey Weinstein and shit that's happened, like it was a different time.
Yeah. I think that's kind of just a general problem that people keep trying to look at things in the past, even something that's 30 years old with a modern day lens, and it's like it just does not translate.
Doesn't apply. Yeah.